surprised about this Impact because we got a lot of stories. A lot. Not all of them good, but very few bad. Look, a lot of times what Impact Wrestling likes to do, especially with the previous writers and the ones who managed, they would throw a huge amount of story, or they would throw only a few stories that really were just bad. So bad, it pissed our ass off beyond anything. Or they would give us a whole bunch of random stories that we didn't care about. I will say this, there's a lot of stories in here I don't care that much about, but some of them have been woven into a bigger storyline, so I will say A for effort. I don't know if it's going to work, but the effort is there, and I'm taking it for what it is. Let's get the Falaba and KM versus the Cult of Lee. I'm getting this over with. The problem I have about this, and it wasn't the fact that it wasn't funny. Let's be honest. Falaba and KM have been funny for the times we were allowed to see them. We didn't see them much in the last, 3 weeks or 2 weeks? They've been very focused on what's been going on with Eddie and Tommy and Sami Callihan. So they've been kind of put to the back burner. If you've seen them on Explosion, that's another thing entirely different. And now that's on the GWN. Unless you got it, you can't see it. I would rather they put Explosion on YouTube. Like I've always said, give something free enough that will give people a little bit of an incentive. Once in a while, throw that on there, and that will be helpful. But GWN is GWN. That's what you're going to have to look at. I don't got GWN. I'm not going to get it because I don't have like the money to start spending on that unless I can find a stream or something. But anyway, what we got here wasn't a match. It's a question. You see, if you're going to make the odd couple of Falaba and Cam work, you got to show them more. And I feel like this is something that was begun and might have begun to get over a little bit. I'm not saying it was going to get over at all, but it looks like that people are very fond of Falaba. If I'm pronouncing the guy's name properly, I usually pronounce his name wrong. But putting that aside, if you like the guy or not, he has a good following. People do like him. But then you do this, and you turn him now away from KM, who basically is doing something with him. Now, we always wondered if KM was going to screw him over or not. But in this case, because of an accident, because Falaba couldn't see, and he gets his eyes raked, and he gives a Samoan drop to a KM, and then KM says, "Leave me the hell alone, you fat bastard," or something like that. I don't know. What were they thinking? I'm guessing maybe they didn't think it was going to get anywhere and they just cut it short and then they just made them go against each other. But I think they could have stretched it a little bit longer. I'm not saying I was fond of the pairing at all. But it was beginning to get some traction. And you don't get rid of something that's beginning to get traction even if you don't know exactly what to do with them. You hold out a little bit, try to come up with an idea, and then see if the idea may work. And then if it doesn't work, dump them. So I kind of feel because they weren't given enough time, this was kind of a waste. Now, here's something that, look, the Moose and the Eli Drake match was not bad at the House of Hardcore. I think it was in Chicago. No, Philadelphia, I'm sorry. In the original building, the first ECW show came out, I believe. But for me personally, I didn't want to see this match. Not that I couldn't stand that Eli Drake lost. I understand he had to lose because now they're putting Moose up against Austin Aries. They decided Moose generally seemed to be ready. For me personally, I don't think Moose is ready yet. I'm not saying Moose isn't a developed character. I'm not saying Moose doesn't seem to have a good work ethic. I'm not saying Moose doesn't do some good work in the ring. It's not that. I honestly don't believe that this should be going on. I believe Moose should have been dragged out a little bit longer and him going against Pentagon Jr. Pentagon Jr. should have been given this match at Slammiversary. I know that's stretching it out. I know. I think it comes out July 22nd. That's a little before my birthday. So I know they still got a month to go and they got to do something. But I do not believe that this is the right. I really believe this was wrong. Letting Moose have this opportunity at Slammiversary, I don't believe is right. Particularly as far as I know, Pentagon Jr. has not gotten this rematch clause. And then we go into the match with Phantasma versus, what was it? David Chris or Jake? No, it was Jake. Jake Chris with David Chris at ringside. Now they're trying to connect a little bit of what happened with Sammy. I'm not going to go there with that until after this part. Was the match between Jake and Phantasma alright? It wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was a bad match. It was okay. But the ending of Phantasma winning, getting his ass handed to him by... This is the thing that gets me. I understand they got to do something with Sami Callihan. He can't do anything with Eddie Edwards because of what's going on with Tommy, which I'll explain in a few minutes. But to have him go up against Phantasma makes no sense. Particularly Phantasma, unless I'm wrong. Because I didn't see the special that was last week or the week before where maybe Phantasma did have his rematch clause with Austin Aries. You guys can tell me below. I had stuff to do, so I could not see it. I don't know if his rematch has happened. As far as I know, it has not happened. They have not said he had a rematch. So they just dropped his rematch because he's going to Lucha Underground, or already has started going to Lucha. But as far as I can see, this made no sense for Sami Callihan to attack Phantasma, only because they have nothing for Sami. They got nothing for Sami to do. He got his ass jacked. When you see his eye, that's some good makeup. What was his left? The video package they did showed his eye on his right eye, when I believe they reversed the image and it's on his left eye. So that was interesting. But seeing that he is now dealing with Phantasma for whatever short amount of time that they taped, just doesn't feel right for me. I wanted to see Phantasma go up against Austin Aries again. Then, after that, you have Moose and, excuse me, you have Moose and you have Eli Drake have their match. And then, the one who won that goes after Phantasma. Or says, I want you, Phantasma, because I want to go to Slammiversary. That would have made more sense for me personally. But that's just me. And, let's see here. I might as well get this over with right now. The match of... I was glad to see Rebel. Goodness gracious. That woman's only, as far as I understand, Rebel's almost 43 years old. She's 4 years younger than I am. And she is gorgeous. She looks like she's in her early 30s. Or maybe late 20s. She's a young looking woman. She kind of is like me. So I think she took care of herself pretty well. I'm not saying I took care of myself very well. But I look much younger than I am. And seeing her was great. I still love Rebel. Then you see the Tyra Valkyrie. Someone who just came back. Someone that is now married to Johnny Impact. Or Johnny Morrison. Who's gorgeous. I gotta say this. I'm gonna get out of character for a second. As a guy who's married. As a guy who got divorced. And had to do the divorce himself. I'm actually hoping that these two actually stick together. I may have a picture of them together if I can get it. I really want to see these two stay together. Because they kind of look like a nice couple. I really want to see John Morrison or Johnny Impact stay with Tyra Valkyrie in real life. I hope it all works out. I don't remember their real names. And I'm not going to say the government names because we are talking about wrestling and we don't talk about their real names. But anyway, two gorgeous women in a random match. Random. And I hated it. Not because the ring work was bad. Now, I won't lie. It seemed a bit sloppy. Both of them was just a little sloppy. And I think it's due to the fact that they didn't want to do a random match. Not saying they won't go out there and put on a 5-star show if they can get away with it. But I don't think they really want to do a random match. After Tyra wins, and I love that after she pins, she stays on top of her opponent and kind of wants to lick her lick her in the face. She gets up, she gets a mic, and then she makes the most random thing. She wants a match against Madison Rayne. What? Why does she mention Madison and then mention she wants a match with her tomorrow when she could start talking about something with Su Yung, who did have a short look at on the screen? She's right there, either in my face or my shoulder. Why not say something about Su Yung? Why? I don't understand why you would go after Madison Rayne. Particularly that you would think that Tessa Blanchard would want one more shot at her after the match she had with Kiera Hogan, which I'm going to right now. Kiera Hogan versus Tessa Blanchard. This was the second best match. The second. Now here's the thing. The reason I say it's the second best is because of the story. Because you don't know where they're going to go with Tessa. And when it comes down to it, the person who performed the best there was Kiera Hogan. I know a lot of people are going to say, dude, you need to start getting on the bandwagon with Tessa Blanchard. I'm sorry, I can't. I still don't see her as very polished, particularly when Kiera grabbed her head outside the ring and started slamming her head into the mat, the ring skirt. She didn't even I know I have the image in front of me. It's not a very good shot because that's where the camera was. She wouldn't even bring her head close enough to the mat to make it believable. She slammed her hand into the ring skirt multiple times with not even getting her head even nearly close to where it needs to be to make it believable. I'm sorry. Kiera Hogan, when she got her face slammed into that chair shot that's probably in my face, she didn't have to get that close, even though she was thrown into it. She could have been a little more careful with that. She made sure she protected herself like most wrestlers. They put their hands in front of their face to protect themselves. That's one of the ways they protect themselves. Others is not to get too close to where they're going to get hurt. Tessa wasn't willing to sell enough. She had, 6 supposed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits into that ring skirt, into the mat, and she wouldn't sell it. Now, I'm not saying everyone sells it the same. Some people do it just like Tessa. Some people do it properly like Rosemary. But the thing is that this is a no DQs match. You got to make it a bit believable for the camera and for the people there. And I didn't feel like she did a very good job. In fact, she felt sloppy. In the end, she won, which is understandable. You got to do something with Tessa. You got to. But this really made me really a very big Kiera Hogan fan. Now, I always liked Kiera when I saw in Reality of Wrestling. I did see in Reality of Wrestling, I thought she was absolutely gorgeous. And she had good ring work. And from what I understand, when I used to watch Reality Wrestling, she'd only been in the business nearly 2.5 years. When I saw her at the time, back in 2016? Nearing 17? That's when I saw her. Even though I only saw her a couple of times, she looked very good for being someone who's only been in the business a couple of years. So seeing this, I'm a fan now. But when it comes to Tessa, she's got to prove a little bit more to me. I'm not saying she doesn't have ability. I'm not saying she doesn't have some okay ring work or okay mic skills. But the it factor just isn't there for me. And showing that she's not willing to sell enough, that is a flag for me. Now, mind you, she can still change my mind. And I'm not unbending. I'm willing to say I'm now a Tessa Blanchard fan when she proves it to me. As far as I can tell, she hasn't yet. But this is what we got. Now, what's next here? The LAX segment. It was okay. I actually enjoyed it. And I can't say every time I enjoy an LAX segment. I don't normally do it. Because of Santana and Ortiz and their interaction, I enjoyed it more. They were a lot more flamboyant. They were a lot more fun. That's the thing I enjoyed. Diamante saying, "You lightweights," drinks her liquor and then walks away. That Diamante is just gold on the mic. She really is. I'm not saying she's perfect, but she's gold for them. If they let her talk more, I think that would help. Instead of just Kingston or King. Now, I will say that when they left and King sat down and said, what did he say exactly? I think he said, "The world is mine." I don't know how far this is going to go with Kingston. I don't know if this means that Conan is coming back. I don't know. But it is obvious they're coming up with some type of storyline for them. And I'm at least glad they are giving it to them. I just wish they would do 1 or 2 promo segments in the ring. I know you guys don't give a damn about me saying that you're saying, dude, let it go. Because they're not going to do it. Don't you get it? I understand it. I get it. But I'm still someone who's going to tell you the truth. And sometimes for more experienced fans, they like promos in the ring as much as they like back segments, story segments, vid packs, and all that kind of stuff. That's just me. I'm just saying it. Now, let's get to the Brian Cage versus Matt Sydal match. The best match of the night, not because of the ring work, but because of the question of what are they doing. And because of how strong Brian Cage, so I believe his Jesse Neal, the Wolverine, I believe that's what he called himself. Damn, that guy is strong. And I'm not saying that Matt Sydal is a lightweight. I think it's like 170. He threw his ass around like he wasn't just a doll. He was like a toy doll. Like you got a doll for a little girl like this. You got a doll for a little boy. And then you got a toy that he just tossed over his shoulder. Damn, that guy is strong. But here's the question. Matt Sydal looks like he's now aligned with Jimmy Jacob and Congo Kong. They're going to have to elaborate that on the next Impact to make it make sense. In a sense, it does make some sense because, well, think about it. By him being like that, he is the one with the third eye. Jimmy Jacob is with the monster and it's the princess. 2 very odd people coming together to make an alliance. It does make some sense. But they still got to elaborate on it. If they just don't elaborate on it and they just go with it, it's going to look bad. But I don't believe that Scott DeMont and Don Collick is going to allow that. They're going to at least elaborate on it, which I have been very glad they've been doing at least a brief mention of certain things. I'm very glad it happened. Now, let's do what happened at the end of the night. If I'm forgetting things, I'm sorry. I have like 2 more segments. If I'm forgetting anything else, I'm sorry. It's a lot of content. The end of the night. When again, Petey Williams finds someone knocked out. And this time it's Falaba. You got everybody, their mother. You got Sanjay Dutt saying, "Arrest this bastard." Petey gets arrested by somebody. And in the end, the somebody is the one that we've been seeing these vignettes about. Before we saw this segment, you can see the images of the ex. You can see the guy. You can see the horns. And in this situation, when he was taking Petey away and he said, "Dude, you can't do this. What about my family? You can't be doing this. Dude, don't be so rough. Hey," and then that guy just knocks him out. He makes me think of the Big Boss Man. Wearing those clothes, I kind of wish he would be a Big Boss Man kind of guy. I'm sure he's not, but I kind of wish he was the new Big Boss Man. That would really be interesting because he kind of gives me that feeling of the original Big Boss Man. Maybe he's a relative of his, maybe he's not. I don't know. It would be cool if that was the Big Boss Man's own son. You guys tell me below. I doubt it. But he just had that feel of a dominating authority figure. Figure. And he pretty much says after he beats the crap out of Petey Williams, "I think you better call the cops." Very, very well done. Finally, the last segment. If I'm forgetting something, I'm sorry. This is the Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Continues. You got the opening of the show where Thank you. Thank you. I did not want to see Guido. Catalina, I was cool with. That woman is just plain gorgeous. I don't know how old she is. You guys tell me below how old is Winter, because I don't know her real age. I think she's in her mid-30s or late 30s. I'm not sure. She might be like Rebel, in her late 30s, nearing 40. I don't care how old she is. She's absolutely beautiful. But I don't want to see her with Guido. But thank you. Whoever came up with this idea, thank you. He comes in, he's about to have a match. Eddie comes in and whoops his ass with the kendo stick. Thank you, he's gone from my TV. I'm cool. Then Eddie basically wants Tommy's head on a silver platter. He says, I want you, Tommy, you fat ass bastard. I don't care. You messed me up. Get your ass out here, which he does. As management of Impact, as a member of management of Impact Wrestling, he comes out, he's trying to calm down Eddie, and I can tell you, I'm glad they did it the way they did it. I said this, that Eddie would get angry because I felt Alyssa is going to go to Tommy's side because he's the only one she can actually trust and understand her. And look what happened. Eddie said, I can't even communicate with my wife. I've been trying for a week. She won't answer me. And he says, I know she hasn't been answering. He said, what? How do you know that? How do you know that? Gets all in his face. How do you know? Who says you have the right to talk to my wife? Don't you dare talk to my wife. And Tommy shoves him down. Basically trying to stop him. He didn't do it on purpose, but he had no choice but to do it. This is how they're going to get sympathy for Tommy. And it's working. Tommy is on the good guy side. And in this case, because of how they built this, saying that he can't stand Tommy because he stopped him from killing his rival, that Tommy understands how it feels to have a rival you want to kill. And Tommy's trying to tell him, dude, no, you don't need this, you don't want it, stop. In the end, what do you get? Tommy getting a kendo stick for his trouble of helping him. And now, Tommy's no longer part of Impact. He said to Scott DeMont, I'm done. I'm not a competitor. I get my head bashed in with a kendo stick. I'm done. I'm out. So this now builds, slowly builds into Slammiversary as I hoped it would. Now, if they keep this up and keep building, let Eddie come to House of Hardcore and harass Tommy and continue harass Tommy and mess with Alyssa while she's with Tommy talking about Eddie. That is what I want. I want to see Alyssa go to Tommy talking about Eddie. Eddie sees her, gets enraged, attack Tommy. Tommy is telling him, stop, I'm not messing with your wife. We're talking about you because we care. And he kicks his ass. Tommy holds back a little bit more. He kicks his ass again. Tommy holds back a little bit more. I say about a week or two before Slammiversary happens, he snaps. And now we get the match. The build up into Slammiversary. That's what I'm hoping for. But you guys tell me below. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.